Welcome back to another episode of We Are the Ones podcast. This is the podcast where we have extraordinary conversations with extraordinary people doing extraordinary things. Avi, what's up with you? How you feeling?
What's up?
You good?
I'm good. Yo, did you see how it snowed yesterday though?
Let's not talk about this.
Okay, we won't.
No, you know, it's wild because we just live in some spooky times, man, because it was just 70 degrees, 70 plus degrees for a few days. And then it got cold, then it got hot. I mean, this is how people get sick, man. This is how people get sick.
Facts.
You know,
Facts.
So, cause you got sick, right?
I got sick. Yeah. I sure did. Yeah, it was something. It was something in the water going around because it was like people of my family who got sick, but we weren't together at all.
Yeah.
So
yeah. So I mean, this is Buffalo. You know, what was weird when it was 75 degrees in February.
But people was definitely barbecuing. Like I got up and actually smelled barbecue. I said, "Oh, here we go."
Oh man, you know, black folk are going barbecue whenever they get the
little sun outside.
Yeah,
right.
It's just like they definitely gonna get up there and start barbecuing.
How you doing, Jamil?
Oh man.
Where to start? How you doing?
I don't know where to start. I'm doing all right. For the most part, I'm doing good. I put up a post on social media last night. I've been, since the start of this year, I've been going. I've been going. It's a lot of good things have been happening. A lot of good things have been taking place. I was able to submit for my first film festival.
Yes, you did.
Recently,
Good job.
So I'm really looking forward to seeing if we get selected for that for the American Black Film Festival, and I've just been going, and it's been, like I said, it's been great stuff. Got a lot of great things happening. The podcast studio is going crazy right now. Oh my
goodness! I've been looking at your calendar.
Yeah,
nuts.
Yeah, you see the calendar.
I see it.
Yeah, it's nuts right now. But in addition to that, a lot of events that's coming up, things that we have done, things that we'll be going to do, that we're going to be doing, and all of this stuff is happening like kind of back to back to back.
It is.
So it's just been a lot. So I'm just trying to find a way to really balance everything that I have going on because, I still have work, my full-time job. Right. I got the business. I'm trying to be a good dad, be a present dad, trying to be a good husband.
Right.
So it's just a lot. It's just a lot to try to manage. But I am grateful, though. I'm grateful for folks like you, folks like Boss Man, the whole team, because, like, I wouldn't be able to do that. Dog, I don't know what I would be able to do if I didn't have y'all. So I appreciate y'all.
We got you. We got you.
Yeah. I'm excited. We have today. Oh man, I'm so excited about today, y'all. Man, this conversation is long overdue. This guest that we have on our podcast today, she's a powerhouse, man. Oh my God, she's a powerhouse.
I love her energy. Her spirit is very contagious.
It always is. And like anytime that you're around her, and I have the great fortune and privilege to call her like a sister. She's like a sister to me, right? And when we get around each other, the way that she speaks into like people's lives, particularly, I don't want to talk about people. I'm going to talk about my life. Personally. The way she speaks into my life, it's just like, you can't help but to be motivated. You can't help but to feel inspired. Man, I mean, it comes from a place of just like, it's a genuine space. It's also from a very spiritual space as well. Yeah. And when you couple all these things together, I mean, you just have this powerhouse of a person. And then I'm not even talking about the work that she does. I mean, when you talk about a publicist, I mean, she is the publicist of all publicists, right? She is
guru.
I mean, seriously, she went out, on her own, decided a couple years ago, like, you know what? I think I'm ready to go out on my own.
And
launch her own
takes
firm.
Courage.
It takes a lot of courage. It's scary.
Yes, it is.
It's scary. Entrepreneurship is scary, And for her to be doing this on her own and to be able to execute at a very, very high level And she does all of this while being fly as AF. Like, she's always fly AF.
That's interesting you said that, because when she came to the door, I said, oh, okay.
She always put that thing on, bro. You know, like, she always put it on. So I'm just like, super excited because I know, again, this conversation has been long overdue, and I know she's going to bring a lot of wisdom and insight into this world of public relations. And we're going to be dropping some gems about that. But I'm super excited to have my friend, my sister, Miss Porsha Parsons. What's up, Porsha? How you doing?
What's up? I gotta tell y'all, this is the best podcast I have ever been on and have ever heard. Because if I wasn't in this room, I would have been listening like, she is dope. I want to meet her, right? I was like, oh, I like. Yeah, 5 stars.
Nah.
Jamil always does well.
Like, he laced it up good. I was saying,
but you know what?
What is that?
It's important that we got to give people their flowers.
Absolutely.
You know, we have to give people their flowers, but also to people who rightfully deserve those flowers too.
Right.
And Porsha has been one of those people who, when I tell you, she just has this real genuine spirit about her. Like, honestly, every time we're around each other, like, I don't want to leave. Like, I really don't want to leave, because I'm just like, yo, she's just like, she's always speaking life and just pouring into me in a way sometimes where I can feel discouraged. You know, like we said, this entrepreneurship thing is tough. It's really tough. And like, I haven't, did my thing and gone out full time on my own just yet.
It's coming.
It's coming.
Because she told me it's coming.
I know. Yeah.
She told me it's coming. But the way that she speaks into my life, she encourages me in a way to know that, like, yeah, it is coming, and it's coming soon. You know. So, but I'm just really excited to have her on, because again, Porsha and I go back. We go way back. One of my good friends, who's also like a pain in my ass, is her husband, and I'll say that. If you hear that, bro,
you want all the smoke.
I've won all the smoke, and he happens to be the executive director of the space that we're in right now, so he can easily revoke my key access.
Slip on door.
Right. I'm just like, yo, my father's not working to get in, bro.
He's the type to do it.
He is the type to do it.
He will.
But no, she's an amazing wife. She's, again, an amazing publicist, has her own firm, Parsons PR, and I want to just talk about that, but I want to, kind of rewind a little bit, because you have an amazing story of even how you got into this space. So can you talk to us a little bit about, how you made that transition from, being a theater major when you were in school and everything, and you worked in radio as an account executive for a long period of time, and now you're in the space full time as a publicist. So kind of walk us through that transition.
Absolutely. So this was very much a journey, and it really took me understanding who I was and what I liked. And I think that's what entrepreneurship involves, figuring out what it is that you like, that you're willing to do. Now, somebody might disagree. Somebody might just say, look, if you got a business, pump it out. But if you want to work and not feel like you're working, find out what you like. So I was a theater major in high school. So when I was younger, I thought I was going to be an actress. That was the goal.
Of course,
I started college.
Yes.
Yeah. And what else was I going to do? And probably around my sophomore year, I started thinking about what was going to be faster for me to achieve, and what I actually wanted to do, and what I wanted my journey to be like getting there. And I started to think to myself, I might want to kind of switch gears. And I still, I definitely feel like one day I'm just going to audition for something one day, just to see if I still got it, right? But I switched my major to journalism, and that's what I finished my undergraduate degree in, And when I graduated, that was kind of where I began to really discover who I was as a career person. I started my career in promotions and marketing, and actually promotions before I even got to marketing. And then I had an opportunity to be a news reporter for the local NPR station WBFO.
Nice.
And that was really exciting for me because that was my first time on the news.
Yeah.
And you did all the schooling and everything, like trying to get there. And finally I had kind of broke in. So I was really excited about that. And I also took a job as a marketing executive for Town Square Media. Now I want to kind of back up because you would think once I got the job in news, I was satisfied.
That's what
right?
I was about to ask. Yeah,
because that makes sense. Like you did what you wanted to do. Now go be happy. Well, I realized it wasn't as easy as I was hoping it would be, and there were some things that kind of got in the way. Like I didn't always feel good going to work, and a lot of that was confidence, and the other was external. Like there were some people that did not let me feel good. I shouldn't say let,
people
but
at the job, you mean?
At the job.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. There were some people there, really one person, but I'm trying to keep it, but there was one person there that kind of reminded me that I wasn't good enough sometimes. And it didn't feel good because this was somebody that I really respected. Mm-hmm. But I would try and like kind of, say, okay, maybe this is just tough love, but that wasn't it. Nah. But it didn't matter because I began to evolve. And I realized that I didn't want to chase the news anymore. I actually wanted to make it. And once I found out that's who I wanted to be, I kind of started exploring what that looked like. So there's a young lady by the name of Venzella Joy. Yes. She's a Buffalo native, and she and her sister were actually my friends. They are still my friends. And Joy was like skyrocketing at the point. Like she was like, she hadn't even realized she was skyrocketing yet. But she was like on TV, like every weekend. It just seemed like we couldn't stop seeing her. And if you don't know who she is, she's this master musician and producer. She's most known for being a drummer. She's incredible. So at this point, she's playing for Beyonce. And, people want to talk to her. They are celebrating her. She's also an amazing musician, so people want to know about her technique. They want to just know about her. And she was having some challenges figuring out how to navigate that newfound famedom. Okay. And as friends, she would just like ask me questions, and as a marketing professional, somebody that had a background, somebody had a news background and a promotions background, I just would tell her. So she asked me a couple times to be on her team, and out of fear of failing her, I would decline and just say, girl, take this, go on to get this free advice, So then she got cast in this movie called Pitch Perfect 3. And she needed a publicist. So her sister, Vidi, shout out to Joy and Vidi. I love them.
Yes, I love them
my
too.
girls.
They're super dope.
Yes, who is also a very accomplished musician. Vidi calls me because she manages Joy, and she said, "Hey, P, Joy just got cast in this movie called Pitch Perfect 3. Of course, we know the Pitch Perfect franchise.
Yes, we
I'm
do.
like, oh, super dope, yeah, super dope." And she goes, but she needs a publicist. Can we put your name down? So it was kind of like that. On the spot, because I don't want to be a bad friend, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't want to like misguide her or mislead her. And when you care about something, you do think like that. And when you care about people, you do think about that. So I said, yeah, I figured, they talked about it, and she was like, well, Porsha said no to me twice. So red carpet premiere, right? My first time in Hollywood, my first time having to get someone dressed and in hair and makeup. Like, this is my first time for everything, and it's in Hollywood at the Dolby Theater. My first time in LA, period. My first time in California, okay?
A lot of firsts out here.
A lot of firsts out here. And I'm still a news reporter, I think. Yeah, I'm still working in news. So they
was probably big mad too. But I digress.
I was literally super proud of myself because I ended up finding someone that wanted to dress her, someone to do her makeup, someone to do her hair.
Okay. Like, out in LA?
Yeah. Okay. Out in LA. There are people that's all they do.
Right.
They want their stuff on the red carpet. So we got all that taken care of, and I'm doing this from Buffalo. Okay? And we get out there, we get a location for her to get in hair and makeup because she's playing for B at this time. So she's got rehearsal the same day as the red carpet premiere. So I got to figure out how to make sure she gets from there to where I'm set up to the Dolby Theater. I was smart to get the Airbnb like 9 minutes away. So I knew this is the plan. We're going to be close. She came everything was all set while she's getting her makeup done. She goes, "Hey P, I don't know if you know this, but you know Joy Vidi and I never talked about you being my publicist." And at that moment, I realized how creepy this was because I thought they talked about it, and it was just, well, I'll try asking her this time. Third time's a charm. And she was like, "No, we never talked about it." So I realized while she was getting her makeup done, I think I walked away and I was like, "Okay, Porsha, maybe you're supposed to be doing this." So I like to say that I didn't choose PR, it chose me. And I've been here ever since.
That's amazing. That's an amazing
I love that story. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Oh, man.
The journey of that.
Very happy. I do believe things happen for a reason. And I do believe that all things work together. And if you just get yourself out the way and let it happen and just pay attention, just be conscious of what's happening and unfolding in front of you, you'll find life can be so much easier.
But you know what? That does require a yes. And your yes took a lot of courage on your part and believing in yourself, which I think a lot of people struggle with believing in themselves, of saying yes to something that they've never done before. So congratulations to you for doing that.
Thank you.
Yeah, and we have a lot in common too, because my first job out of college was actually for it was before they were Town Square Media. It was CBS Radio, then it went to Regent, and then I think it went to Town Square Media. But
went through a few changes.
Yeah, definitely went through some changes, but. I did, your story was it kind of hit a nerve a little bit because I had a similar experience. This is I was, working in marketing as well, kind of the same thing, and kind of told that well, maybe this is not, your forte, and at the time I'm thinking well, maybe I was questioning myself, am I not good enough for this thing? And, but eventually, I kind of you know what? Maybe this isn't for me. This space isn't for me. But I think more than being in that particular role, I just think the environment itself, right? Because I'm not a corporate guy. Never been, right? Never been a corporate guy, and I've always had this desire to kind of do things on my own, right? So, and it's kind of similarly you worked in corporate, not to say the corporate wasn't your thing, but you had a desire to make that transition. So kind of talk to us about that, making that transition from corporate over to, what you're doing full time right now.
Got it. And I love telling the story. So I was at Town Square Media for 6 years, and I liked it there. I didn't have a problem with anybody, but there were a couple things that happened. So the first thing that happened was probably spring 2019. This is what I was doing. I was at a restaurant downtown. I had just left Town Square Media. And I sat down at, the bar. I was eating my little food because I didn't feel like sitting at a table being waited on. And I got this very strong feeling and this very loud voice. And I know this was God because I know his voice. And this is what I heard. I would hate to not be able to do what I want to do for you because you won't do what I need you to do for me. And when you hear God, you know what he said. There's no riddles. I know it sounds what could that mean? But you know what is being referenced. And what that was for me was I was harboring a lot of unforgiveness. And unforgiveness is heavy.
From what?
I had a very challenging childhood with my stepfather. And we hadn't talked for a very long time. And I had no plans to ever talk to him again, to be quite honest with you. It was a very difficult home to grow up in, not because of my mother, who's sweet as pie, but because of my stepfather. And I hadn't talked to him a long time, but that I had kind of been dealing with the whole concept of reaching out or forgiving for maybe a couple months at that point. And right when I would think I'm going to go do it, I'm going to take the first step, I didn't even have his phone number anymore, y'all. That's how it was. This man is married to my mother for coming up on 30 years. Right.
You ain't got the man's phone number.
I don't even got the man's phone number anymore. It was that serious. Done. And I know that was challenging for my mother, but for me, it was like, no, there's a legacy. There's a number of years where this was just a very ugly moment for me, my life. I don't like this part of my life here. And moving to Buffalo from Rochester, it was kind of like a way to kind of start fresh, you know, and let it go. But I never let it go. I just erased it. Like, it was there, but it was like, you're no longer here, you know? So at that moment when I heard that, I knew that it was time to say something. So I texted my sister asking for my stepfather's phone number. She sent it to me. And when I contacted him, I talked to him in my car. Like, I wasn't going in the house. It was just going to be where I was. So what I did not expect to come out of my mouth is what I believe changed everything for me. I called, and I didn't have a plan, but I just knew I was going to take the first step. And before I knew it, I found myself asking him for forgiveness. Right. And I still said, you know, I was very open, like, I don't want to live like this anymore. I don't want to be this way. Life is short. I want to get into heaven. You know, this is my belief, okay? Like, I don't care what anybody else says. This is the faith that I follow. I want to live right. I want to do right. I want God to be pleased by my life. And part of that is forgiveness. So I just want to tell you that I apologize for the things that I've done wrong. And I was able to name them. Now, I actually don't feel like I have a track record. I thought I was a really good kid.
Right.
But this is what I said. I said, I knowingly stayed away from family functions just because I knew you would be there. And I knew that would hurt you, that I never showed up. And I apologize for that. I'm sorry for that. And I ask that you forgive me. He said he did, and he didn't apologize, which I already told myself, don't go in here looking for an apology, because you will very much get disappointed. You know who this man is. So, and he didn't apologize, but what he did say to me that felt good was he said that he was very impressed by the young woman that I had become. And that phone call had showed him a lot about my maturity and who I was today. And it was nice to hear, you know, but I already knew who I was. But it was just nice to hear because he didn't know me anymore. Right. He didn't. You know, I was gone for, at the time, maybe like 10 years, you know, and I hadn't talked to him. So it was like right after that, I was in class, and it was almost like it just started coming. I was in class, grad school, finishing final semester, and I asked my professor this one question. I said, I've heard that when college graduates are leaving, they should go work for another PR agency before they open their own agency. I was already practicing PR, though. Okay? And I asked her what she thought about that. Like, you know, do you agree? Is that something that should happen? Because the truth is, I was applying for jobs, but nobody here would hire me. So the chairperson for the entire program, Dr. Silverman, says to me, typically we advise our students to go work at an agency before going out on their own. But you, Porsha, you could do it. Said it in front of the whole class.
You got a gift, girl.
Said it in front of the whole class.
Boy.
And I was like,
that was God speaking through her, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, because if she would have said, no, go work for somebody else, I probably would have been like, okay,
all
right.
You try to go get this job somewhere.
Yeah. But I see why she said it. Number one, I had a track record in communications. I had already been working in it, and I honestly believe the best publicists are former news people.
Okay.
I do, because they were already a part of the media, and the publicist is always facing the media.
Right.
So I already know what you want to know before you even say something to me. I already know what you would be interested in.
Makes sense.
Because I used to be you. So that's what I did. So that was my last semester at Buff State. Because I'm a two-time Buff State graduate. Bingo. Okay? Two-time Buff State. No UB up in here.
Well, whoa. Easy. Relax.
Yikes.
This podcast is about to be over.
Portia said she wanted
Standing 10 toes down.
This
in that
podcast's over.
Wrap it up. But so I graduated in May and announced Ari Parson on September 23rd, 2019. and I was in business.
That girl was moving.
So, to finish this part of the story, I was still working for Town Square Media because I need money. So I'm still working my job, and the pandemic happens.
Okay.
Pandemic happens 6 months later, and it's a lot going on. It's a lot in my house that's going on. You know, I'm still trying to navigate being a new wife, figuring out what money is going to look like because we're in a global pandemic. There's just a lot happening right now. And I had been feeling, the George Floyd murder happened. So there was a lot emotionally and after George Floyd's murder was publicized, I really started to have like an internal battle. Like I started to feel like I felt horrible about how people were going to remember him. And I did not like that. And I started to think to myself, aside from the obvious wrongdoings of that, I started to ask myself, how do I want to be remembered? And I realized it wasn't going to be working for somebody else and helping someone else make millions and building their business. It was going to be me doing something to impact myself and the people that I attached to help them grow. That was going to be my legacy. And I did not know I would be who I am today. I just knew I was going to go out. So on June 30th, I resigned in the middle of a pandemic with the support of my husband, who told me he felt like I should have been quit. I just want to keep saying we were in the middle of a pandemic. Who had money? But faith is a serious thing. I resigned and started getting clients in a pandemic. In a pandemic. And I couldn't believe it, but I was so grateful. So that's how I ended up becoming Ari Parson. That's how that happened. It was that journey.
That's amazing. That's an amazing story. I want to transition a little bit, this kind of really talking about the industry itself. And this, because one of the things that we like to do on this podcast is really providing, real value to our watchers and our listeners, because there are a lot of people who, regardless of what industry that you're in, I think everyone is always looking for some type of media coverage, right? So, but I think in this age of digital media and this rise of digital media, I think it's changed a bit the landscape of public relations. So can you talk to that a little bit? Like, how has the landscape of public relations changed in this space of digital media, and what type of challenges or opportunities does it present?
Viral moments, I believe, have changed what public relations looks like. And I think a mistake that people make often is they think a viral moment is some sort of self-publication, self-publicity. And in a way, yeah, it is. It absolutely is. But viral moments are just viral moments. You could stage it. People do that. You can set a trend. People do that. That all works and can be classified under publicity. But I would not call someone who stages or creates a viral moment a publicist. So it's important that people realize that the understanding of a brand. So if you are an entrepreneur, your business is the brand. You might be the brand. You know what I mean? I'm an entrepreneur, and so my business is a brand, and then I am a brand because I'm the owner of that brand. So figuring out what that looks like is very important. Figuring out who you need to be talking to, who your target audience is, also helps with that. You can create viral moments, but if they don't land where they're supposed to land, you didn't do anything but get seen on TikTok a whole lot. And if it doesn't hit right, if it doesn't land properly, you've done nothing. When it comes to publicity, we're guiding people's thoughts. It's really an art, and sometimes it's a thankless job. But I have wonderful clients who always thank me. But it's really the shaping and molding of public perception and opinion. There's an art to it. Digital marketing goes with publicity and media, sure. But if there is no strategy in place, you're just doing stuff and hoping something sticks. With PR, there's a plan. So it's going to help us get to a goal. I like to, if you don't mind, I like to make a distinction between marketing and public relations.
Please.
Because I understand a lot of people don't even know what public relations is.
Right.
And so when they say publicist, a publicist is a public relations professional, okay? It's not the PR girl, even though people love to say PR girl, and I'll even respond to PR girl. You know, the PR girl. But yeah, a publicist is a public relations professional. And here are my examples to help you distinguish the two. Public relations is storytelling. It engages you that way. It's shaping and molding your thoughts in favor of the brand, or in favor of whatever that brand wants you to do. Because they might be shaping your minds and your attitudes to affect your actions, which is usually always the case.
Yeah.
So I'll give you two examples and I want y'all to tell me the difference. So one thing you read that says $20 bottle of shampoo, vegan shampoo on sale for $20. What is that?
Commercial.
And that is an ad. That's marketing.
An ad, yeah.
Right? Now, what if I do this? Find out why millennials are rushing to buy a vegan shampoo for under $20.
That's
the
PR.
difference.
Yeah.
That's publicity. Because what's the first thing you want to do? You want to learn more about this shampoo. Like, okay, well, who's the shampoo? Why are people rushing? Like, what does it do? Right.
Exactly.
What does it do? And that's what we have to do, because in that article that says, find out why millennials are rushing to buy this vegan shampoo for under $20, I'm going to let you know what the brand is, where you can buy it. I'm going to let you know what social ties they have, what they stand for. I'm going to let you know who's used it. I'm going to let you know all of this stuff, the ingredients, how natural it is, how no animal products were used. Like, I'm going to say all of that to you while you're trying to find out why people are rushing it. But I'm selling it to you.
Right.
I'm selling it to you, but you didn't buy an ad. So now when you're done,
you bought the story.
You bought the story. So now you're
story.
like, oh, I kind of like this. Ooh, it's got Mayan clay in it. Like, you don't know nothing about no Mayan clay, but it sounds good.
And, you know, I think, and I think what's effective about that as well is that when you are crafting a story in that way, you almost like, there are people who are looking at this thing or watching it or whatever, listening to it, and they kind of make that correlation because they personalize it, right? This is it's something that they can relate to. Like, if I'm a baby boomer, right, I can't necessarily relate to, you know, why millennials are doing X, Y, Z. I'm not a millennial. Like, who cares? You know what I mean? But the fact that I am a millennial, you know, and I'm like, you know what? That is an issue that I have.
Which is why knowing who your target audience is very important. Now, if I want to sensationalize youth, I might put why millennials are rushing here in a publication that actually attracts baby boomers, so they can find out, well, why are these young punks going to get, you know, because maybe it's making their skin, maybe it's doing something for hair loss, you know, premature hair loss, maybe it's doing something for that, you know, whatever it is, there should be a method. It shouldn't just be like, oh, we're gonna try it and see what happens.
Yeah. Okay, so do you feel as if that's what a lot of, like, especially black businesses, do you feel like that's what a lot of black businesses are doing? They're kind of just throwing it out there and seeing what sticks. Are you seeing strategies when it comes to black businesses?
So one of my PR
Keep it real.
I am one of my PR sister girls in Atlanta, Adrian. Shout out to Adrian. Made a social media post. And I was really ready to take it to church because, like, I need to send her an offering because she said exactly what I would say. What happens is, and this is not just black business, but if we're talking to help someone, they do this. We're going to buy some followers. Or we're going to make it look like we popping on social media, but you ain't got no engagement. And if you're a publicist like me, you're not fooling us. We're going to look at those followers, because I want to know if they're bots. If they're robots, I'm going to know. Okay? You didn't just pop up with 45,000 followers. Okay?
Ooh, boy.
And
popping up, y'all paying blue checks.
Yeah, y'all paying for these blue checks. And you know,
let me not hate though.
To a degree, I don't have a problem with it, but you got to be doing the work too. Like those you purchasing that blue check, it's got to come with some more work.
Exactly.
So you're spending all this money on advertisement, but nobody is telling your story. Nobody is talking about your brand. Nobody is telling why millennials are rushing to buy there. No one is talking about how your business or what it is that you produce is changing the world or changing the landscape for this. It's not. So it's just buy this shampoo for $20. And I'm going to buy that ad so it does that. people are advertised to all day.
Yes.
You could walk outside, and if you could walk down the hallway. It's 70 paintings on the halls. That's advertisement, because right next to the painting is the painter. And it could be a price for how much it costs to buy it.
Yeah, even in this room. I mean, we look at it right. The mic that you're talking on right now.
Everything is advertisement. Yeah. So people are tired of being sold to.
Even the shirts you're wearing, you advertising right now.
Advertising me. So it can become lost sometimes because you're swimming in a sea of ads all the time, and there's nothing about that stands out.
I have a question though, Porsha. So they call this age, this generation that we're in, a generation that attention is like a gnat. So when you are trying to sell a story or a message, do you really feel like people will still have attention to actually gravitate to that story, want to know that story, listen to the story, read the story? Like, do you really feel like that is still a method that works in this day and age?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
It depends on who you're writing to, who you're talking to. To kind of go back to how digital media is changing things, even regular people know that if you're going to make a reel, you need a hook so you can get viewers to watch for a longer period of time. So what is going to reel them in? It's the same sort of idea. What can we do that's going to snatch their attention? What is it going to do that's going to make them want to at least give us 5 seconds worth of their time, so they can determine if the remaining 25 seconds is going to be something that they give us. So yes, it still works.
Okay.
That was your question?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So, we're in this space, right? We're talking about social media, digital media, and how not to get caught up in sometimes those vanity metrics, right? Because they don't always tell an accurate story. But I think there is something to having a strong online presence, right? So can you talk a little bit about that? Like, what's the importance of, in this space, why having a strong online presence is important?
If you're not online, you just don't exist. And that's just the bottom line. You're not real. And it's been that way for years at this point. There are some people that still don't have a freaking website. And that blows my mind.
That's weird to me.
You're not even real. Like, you're just in your mind. And it's the same way with social media. This is a social world. And the best form of publicity is word of mouth. So if you're not even on a social platform, how are people talking about you?
Right.
And sure, before social media, what were people doing? Yeah, it was that way now. But now you can reach people in a large mass by just being where they are. And it's such an opportunity to just show up in the least likely of places, your brand. That is, just because you share something in common. Just because there's a hashtag that matches a hashtag that they follow. So if I were to, post something about myself, hashtag entrepreneur, hashtag business owner, well, somebody who's interested in that can be exposed to that brand. So if you're not there, that's crazy. You have to be on social media. There are only a few instances where it's not necessary. And that's more like you have a secret society or something like that. But
I want to push back just a little bit.
Sure.
And I'm just playing devil's advocate for a second. I have a friend of mine who he has a very successful business. He's in the event production space, right? He was heavy online for years, right? And then he just ghosted social media. I mean, completely ghosted. Had no idea what he was doing, where he was at in his life, just completely got off of social media. And during the time that he was off of social media, I think the 2 or 3 years that he was away, he said that's when he made the most money that he's ever made. Right? So, because I think what we're seeing too is that because we are in this attention economy right now, it's an oversaturation of voices sometimes and thoughts, and it could be a bit much sometimes.
Overstimulating.
The overstimulation is real, right? And I think because of that overstimulation, some people are, opting to what, if I don't have to be on social media, because I'm gonna be honest with you. I've been telling people for a long time, if I had a way to get off of social media right now, I absolutely would.
Yeah.
I would, because I'm just not, it's a lot. It's a lot to maintain, and like you got to be chasing the algorithms and everything just to try to make sure that your stuff really hits the way it's supposed to hit. And my friend, actually going back to him, he actually wrote a book, and I'm really looking forward to it coming out. He's about to be releasing it soon, talking about how he was able to leave social media and still made millions of dollars, in his business, and how during that time that he was away, this is when he found like so much clarity around, everything that he was doing, because again, he was in that space where he was kind of chasing algorithms and things like that. So I think there is this space where you do have some people who are not just gung-ho about like, I need to be all over social media, I need to be following every trend, I need to be doing all the dances just so I can be relevant and things like that. But to your point, I think a lot of people, when you are trying to do business with people though, people are trying to, that's the way for people to connect with you, right?
And I want to say, number one, whatever your friend did, I'm guaranteed he did something. So if the overarching conversation is about publicity, digital media is just one thing. Mm-hmm. So I'm very interested in knowing what he was doing if he wasn't doing it, because something was allowing him to get business. Something was marketing him, even if it was just word of mouth, but I completely agree. Social media is a lot of work. You can pay somebody to do my social media. Like, that's kind of where I am.
That's where I'm at.
And we offer, Ari Parson offers social media management. But when you're like a personal brand, it is a lot, because that's when the stupid TikTok dances come into play, because now I have to try and keep up. Yeah. You know what I mean? With making sure y'all know me. Y'all like me. Y'all want to see me succeed. And
right.
tap dancing.
Challenge.
Right. But that is where we are, and I don't know when it's going to go away, but YouTube hasn't gone anywhere.
No, that's a fact.
YouTube's been around for a long time, and it's evolving.
Yes.
So I can't imagine social media leaving, and if it's not, what's going to take its place?
I have one more question for you, Porsha. So for during the pandemic, there was a boom of entrepreneurs that happened because of everything that happened. So for a lot of them, they are still a one man band. So when it comes to PR, they're like, I need it, I want it, I cannot afford it. If someone cannot afford PR, what tips would you give an entrepreneur right now who has started a business during the pandemic? So maybe they're 2, 3, 4 years in now. What sort of tips would you give them until they can afford someone like you to give them money tips?
Before you, I want to compound on what she's asking as well, because that was going to be one of the questions that I asked, was just around like strategy, right? So if people one, so they can afford it, right? But also two, there's real strategy that goes along with like trying to get media attention, get placed in the media and things like that. So can you kind of talk to that for a bit?
So one thing that I would say is, look for, if you're a business owner and you can't afford a publicist, your small business, we get it. A lot of times I just tell people, just wait until you're ready. Do what you can on the home front, social media. But here's what I would say. Find opportunities where you can talk about what you do in a public setting. So if that's being on a panel discussion, and you can
starting a podcast.
Of course.
Plug.
I'm just saying.
Shameless plug.
Not so shameless plug. Podhubmedia.com.
Find where you can talk about your level of expertise and provide that information, because that's an audience, and publicity requires an audience. So these are just small things. Maybe you speak at a women's conference. If you have women's products, vend. Whatever business you have, you need to have a marketing budget. If you don't have PR as a line item there because you're small, use your dollars wisely for your marketing. So if that means you're showing up at a conference, pay that $1,500 to have that activation there, because you're going to be in front of a lot of people where you can talk to them. You can give them your business card. You can tell them about your website. You can give them free samples. That's all publicity. It's just marketing, but it falls under that umbrella, because I like to say this: marketing and publicity, I like to call them first cousins. Marketing and PR look alike. They're not the same, but they look very much alike. So I think that's one way. What's another way? Social media. Jamil said a podcast.
Productmedia.com.
Making sure you also have branding materials. So at least if someone sees the name, they might be curious. If you can make connections with some of your favorite local radio hosts or even news, you won't probably be able to pitch them so much, but if you know something, a special time of the year for your business is coming up, let them know, hey, this is what I do, and y'all might want to talk about it because this is when everybody talks about it. Like Mother's Day, we know it's coming up. Christmas, is coming up. It's a fine line you have to tread because media understands there's a difference between marketing and PR. So the second they feel like you want us to put you on TV to sell, they're going to send you to the sales department. Right. They're going to say, no, you have to buy an ad for that. And that's not what you want. But if you can offer something that is informational and can benefit the community, that's when you'll have their attention.
Okay.
That is so good, and I think it speaks to one of the things that you and we talk about often is building social capital, right?
Absolutely.
And building relationships with people because I've been able to, I've been very fortunate to be able to get a lot of press around the work that we do, and all of this stuff is earned media, right? And just for people who don't know, earned media is that media that you don't have to pay for.
That's right. It's free.
It's free media. You know what I mean? And
free publicity.
They're coming to me, asking me to talk about the work that I'm doing, in the community because it, like you said, it benefits the community, right? So like if you're doing really good work, and people see that you are doing these great things, then what I've found is that media companies, especially a lot of traditional media companies, they're looking for stories
all the time
to pitch and to talk about. You know what I mean? So you have an opportunity there if you're doing really good work. Because like, for example, when we launched this, when we opened up this podcast studio here, we had a lot of great media coverage around, and I didn't pay for a single dime out of my
But
pocket.
you know why though? You got media coverage because of novelty. This was new. Location, where it was. It's already local news. You got press because of the who. There were all these factors that made you interesting enough for someone to say, no, we want to learn more about it. And what it is you're doing. That's also neat. So a podcast studio on the east side, I'm not shocked that they didn't kick your doors down, because that is something that is newsworthy. And I want to actually go back because I realized I did not use that term. Newsworthy is a PR term. That means, why do people care? Why should anyone care? So if what you're doing or what you're trying to say is, hey, I want you to talk about my business because yada, 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 make sure it is newsworthy. Make sure it's something that is beneficial to the community, beneficial to whoever the audience is, and they'll actually care. Because if it's not newsworthy, then the news ain't coming.
Right.
Yeah, because they want to talk about something that is newsworthy.
Love it.
Nah, this is really good. I mean, we're going to wrap up shortly, but one of the things that I wanted to kind of have you talk about too is like, briefly talk about just like some of those challenges of being, a publicist, right? Because again, sometimes people kind of conflate, between the marketing and the PR, and if they go viral on social media, that they don't need it. Because trust me, I've been viral a couple times. It ain't nothing.
I'm so glad you said that.
I got a $100 check from Instagram for that one post that went viral, but it did nothing for me, right? That one post going viral did nothing for me. So, but people often, they tend to think that, I don't necessarily need a publicist because I could just go on social media and I can just make a couple of dances and, go viral and then it's short-lived because like we see a lot of people who try to capitalize off of viral moments and it just, if you think about like the dude Antoine Dotson, we have in Lincoln Park, like the dude or like the guy who did where the money reside, where the money and like people they try to capitalize on these things, and this is no shade to them or anything like that, but it's just like it didn't go far after that.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So kind of talk a little bit briefly about some of those challenges about being a publicist and kind of how to overcome those things.
I'd like to say I did not pay Jamil to say what he just said about viral moments and people becoming influencers and feeling like they don't need PR because at the end of the day they end up coming back. And there are publicists that have dealt with people. There's some wise guy that said, well, I don't need so-and-so. And you go, okay. you'll be back. You know, and when you come back, I might not want to take you. Boom.
Facts.
You know, but that is influencer marketing. Okay, and when you go viral and a company reaches out to you, they find you valuable to help them sell their products. That's marketing, not publicity. And I think people will get that mixed up sometimes. So I appreciate you for saying, nah, like once that viral moment is over, if somebody didn't pick you up, it doesn't matter. As far as challenges go, I haven't actually had challenges in that area, but here is what I always find myself having to explain to clients. And I've gotten really good at it now to where everyone that comes on board, they get it. PR takes time. It's not an overnight sensation. You know, like you don't sign on with me and then you're in the news tomorrow. Right. That's not how that works. We have to build you. And you can't be arrogant. And what happens is, one of my PR mentors said this, shout out to Jennifer Parker. JP.
Yeah, my girl.
Shout out to her. And I say this respectfully and lovingly because this is a term of endearment. That's one of the OG black publicists in Western New York.
I look up to that woman so much.
Yes, that's Buffalo's own Olivia Pope.
Yes,
she was an attorney.
Nice.
She was an attorney, yeah.
Okay.
And she solves problems, you know. But she said this to me and I was like, geez, there's no better way to say this. She said, sometimes clients can think they're a legend in their own mind. And that's the person that says, well, I went viral. And they just think they can't walk out down the street without somebody stopping them and wanting a picture and everything. And they end up falling on their butt sometimes because they have to face the reality that nobody wants to talk to them. You know, like, okay, well, I should be on this show because I'm the one that went viral. Can you imagine going to somebody and trying to get them to feature you? Like, I'm the one that went viral for doing this. And what is that person going to look at you like? Because you hope they saw you, you know? So when you have representation, you look more professional, number one. You look like you have somebody supporting you and backing you. So the biggest challenge I have is just making sure I manage expectations. There we go. I let people know, look, this is going to take time. We got to build you. We got to make sure we have your assets. So when we do go out and I do start pitching you and I do start saying, hey, I want you to consider this person to be a guest on your show, you look good on paper or nowadays digitally, where someone can find you. Another challenge is people not having the assets they need before they come to the table. They don't have a website. They don't have anything that talks about their business like a media kit. They don't have video. The good thing is Porsha Parsons is a full service agency where we offer videography, photography,
Come on.
media kit creation, press conference coordination. Just go to my website, ariparsonpr.com. So like you need those things. So we have to build you if you come to us and you don't have anything. And that's okay because once you sign on, that's part of the job. We got to make sure we get you together. But if you have nothing, that takes longer. Because you don't even have a picture, you don't even have a logo. You know, you don't have these things. And there's nothing wrong. If you're a brand new business starting out, then you don't have anything. But you should at least have a story as to why you're doing it. And at least that's a place to start. If a person can't even identify why they do what they do and what makes theirs special, I do not want to work with them because they're not a good candidate. They're not. I don't want to say they're not a business person. They're just not ready.
They're not ready.
Okay. They're not ready. They still have to figure out their business. You can't expect me to tell you why your business is cool or why it's unique. So the challenge, I'm going to try and summarize this last part, is people not being ready and having to tell them it's not time yet.
Yeah. And I think it's important too as a publicist, you know, you talk about something about people not being ready. It's really important for you as a publicist to make sure that you interview those people that you're bringing on as clients as they're interviewing you as well.
That's right.
To see if they want to bring you on.
Because a publicist, a lot of people don't, well, not a lot of people. There are some people that don't realize we don't have to take you. Like, you know,
exactly. Facts.
You know, like
Facts.
A publicist chooses, and it's not from a place of arrogance. It's, is this the right fit? Because I want you to win. You know what I mean? So if I know, okay, your space is not really my industry, or it's not an industry that I'm interested in enough to say I'll take you on as a client, I would have to respectfully say, this is not a fit for me. And I can probably recommend someone else for you, you know, but I'll at least let you know I don't want to do that because I pride myself in being an honest business person. I was an honest salesperson, you know, so when I was in marketing, I was honest. Look, you're not going to get any results with it. You know, you got to up your budget, you know, so that's a very important part of the job, because the second something goes bad, the first thing, when something goes bad, what's the first thing they say? Where they publish at? What their publicists do? You know, when Will Smith slapped Chris Brown.
Chris Rock.
Oh, yeah, my bad. He would have never slapped Chris Brown.
Chris Brown gonna smack him back.
He gonna slap him. Maybe go there. Okay? You don't got no respect. But yeah, like, I'm laughing because the way, like, in uniform, I feel like every publicist across the U.S. said,
because how do you do?
Like, I put my hand in my head. I started getting a headache. And I was just like, whoever his publicist is, hates him.
Yep.
Because I hated him that day. Like, how are we cleaning this up?
Like Trump having a publicist.
Oh, Lord.
God.
You know, and I feel like he done fired a few, probably.
Oh, he probably did.
You know, and that's another thing people don't realize. A publicist could fire a client.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
You know, like if a publicist keeps telling you don't talk to the press, or right, or like this I can't keep cleaning this up because now you're making me look bad because you're so out of control, and people are going to start judging my work when they see that you're out of control and there's nothing I can do to clean it up because you so wild. So we're gonna have to end this contract.
Yeah.
You know.
Nah, this is, I can go on for days talking to you. We got to have you back on the show. No, we definitely got to have you back because I really feel like that you can give a whole masterclass.
Absolutely.
On publicity, on public relations, on how people can get placements. And I know we haven't really even scratched the surface yet, you know, because it's so much, you know, that people can gather from not only just this conversation, but but just by working with a publicist and hiring a publicist, and why that's really important. And they need to make that, like you said, and that needs to be one of your line items. That needs to be part of your overall strategy. Is especially if you're trying to scale. Oftentimes people, I don't think they think about the long term in that way, right?
That's very true.
But we definitely got to have you back, Porsha. We really appreciate you for being on.
Porsha.
So people wanted to connect with you. We shouted you. You shouted it out a lot, but people want to connect with you. If they, how can people connect with you on social media? People wanted to work with you. They wanted to hire you as a publicist. How can people connect with you?
You can follow me on Instagram. I have 2 pages. Ari Parson PR. Ari _Parson. PR is the business Instagram, but if you're looking for a good time, follow my personal page also, because I tend to post a little bit more about what's really going on behind the scenes at Porsha Ari _19. But if you look up Porsha Ari, I'm going to come up. So PORSHA ARI 19, but I do believe there's an underscore in there. So
I think it is an underscore.
Yeah, there's one in there. On social media, Facebook at Ari Parson PR. On LinkedIn, you could look me up just by my name, Porsha Ari Parson.
Website?
AriParsonPR.com.
All right.
Perfect.
Porsha, we appreciate you. This was a great conversation. Definitely got to have you back.
You're definitely a storyteller.
Yeah.
Thank you. Well, that's the publicist.
That's
That's what I'm saying.
That's the publicist. Yeah. So we definitely going to have you back soon. So thank you so much for coming on.
No doubt. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of We Are the Ones podcast. Make sure you follow us across all of the streaming platforms, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio. We're all over the place. Like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube, and make sure that you hit us up on social media across all of the platforms at We Are the Ones podcast.
And remember, keep winning on purpose, because you are the one we have been waiting for.